Like the Jedi, the Sith had multiple titles and ranks within their order. These ranks and titles varied depending on the era of the Sith. Before the implementation of the Rule of Two by Darth Bane, the Sith Empire consisted of thousands of Sith, all of whom were grouped to a specific rank. The highest title during the Old Republic era was the Dark Lord of the Sith. Originally, this title was only held by the most powerful Sith Lords who were considered to be the leaders of the Sith Order and their respective empire. However, during Vitiate's Sith Empire, this title was held by multiple members in the Dark Council, including the Emperor. The most well-known title was the classic Sith Lord title. This title was held by all members of the Sith Council under Nagasato's Sith Empire. Later, this title was held by numerous powerful individuals who passed several brutal tests on Korriban. Along with training in lightsaber combat, they also studied Sith philosophy and at times added to it. They were also tasked in preserving Sith lore and knowledge, as well as passing it down to the lower level Sith. Next was the Sith Marauder's rank. This rank was given to high-level Sith warriors who were trained in the most aggressive lightsaber fighting styles, and they typically carried 2 lightsabers. They were usually used to carry out the most brutal acts by the Sith, and were capable of taking on any Jedi Knights, and even some Jedi Masters. The most common rank under the Sith Empire was held by Sith warriors. Sith warriors generally only focused on combat aspects of the Force, and were trained primarily in aggressive lightsaber combat. Sith warriors were notable in their straightforward ways of attacking their enemies, by using brute force in overwhelming numbers rather than planning out more complex attack patterns. They made up the backbone of the Sith Empire, and usually fought in large groups. One of the more unique ranks was held by Sith Assassins. Unlike Sith warriors, Sith Assassins specialized in attacking their enemies from the shadows with ambushes. They typically worked alone, and spent most of their time stalking and hunting their target. Next were Sith Inquisitors. They played a similar role as the Sith warriors, except instead of specializing in lightsaber combat, they specialized in the Force, mastering Force lightning and other dark side abilities. They also tended to be far more manipulative and deceitful than their warrior counterparts. Next is the Sith Acolyte rank, sometimes referred to as the Sith Adept rank. Sith Acolyte was just a fancy name given to the Sith apprentices. They trained under Sith Lords and eventually ranked up to either the Sith Warrior or the Sith Marauder rank. The lowest rank used by the Sith in the Old Republic era was the Sith Minion rank. It was sometimes even held by non-Force sensitives. They were known to worship the Sith as gods, and obeyed them without question. After Darth Bane's implementation of the Rule of Two, stating that only 2 Sith could exist at one time, the titles and ranks among them changed. Both Sith were considered to be Dark Lords of the Sith. The 2 Sith were split up among the ranks of Sith Master and Sith Apprentice. Sith Masters held the knowledge of the past Sith and their philosophy. They were tasked in finding an acceptable apprentice to train and later teach the ways of the Sith, whom would later replace them. Sith apprentices were tasked in learning from their masters, as well as carrying out any orders given to them. After learning enough from their masters, Sith apprentices usually attempted to kill their masters, either by honorable duels or by assassination. If successful, they became the new Sith Master, and the cycle repeats. During this time, the 2 Sith would employ dark side adepts. Although technically not Sith, dark side adepts used the dark side of the Force and were trained in lightsaber combat. Along with carrying out more tedious tasks, they also served the purpose of replacing the Sith apprentice if they ever got killed. After the creation of the Galactic Empire, Emperor Palpatine employed hundreds of dark side adepts to both maintain his empire and to hunt down surviving Jedi. They were all grouped into different ranks, all serving a different purpose. First are the Inquisitors, also known as Inquisitorius. They were the highest-ranking dark side adepts within the Empire. They were tasked primarily with hunting down surviving Jedi, and they were led by the Grand Inquisitor. Second are the Prophets of the Dark Side, also known as the Emperor's Mages. Originally a renegade Sith order in the Outer Rim, they were taken in by the Emperor and were integrated into his new empire. Their tasks mainly involved predicting the future with the Force, and they frequently went out of their way to make sure said predictions came true. They were also sometimes tasked with spying on the Emperor's enemies, as well as training some of the other dark side adepts within the Empire. Third are the Emperor's Hands. They were the most secretive among the Empire, and were directly trained by the Emperor himself. They were tasked with the most secretive and crucial missions for the Empire. Along with the Emperor's Hands, there also were the Emperor's Reach and the Emperor's Eyes. who were tasked in traveling great distances across the galaxy and predicting the future with the Force, respectively. Fourth are the Emperor's Shadow Guards. Very little is known about them, other than that they answered directly to the Emperor and were sent to kill powerful Jedi. They were recruited from the Sun Guards, though it was rumored that some of them used to be Jedi who were brainwashed into doing the Emperor's bidding. Last are the Dark Jedi. They typically were former Jedi who joined the Empire and used the dark side. They usually fell under the previous ranks, but not always. About 30 years after the final death of the Emperor, the lost tribe of the Sith would emerge. There were survivors from the ancient Sith Empire who crash-landed onto an isolated planet and remained there for thousands of years. Away from galactic affairs, they developed a society based on their previous culture and created roles for everyone within it. The four major roles were Grand Lord, who was the ruler of the Circle of Lords, which served as the ruling council for the lost tribe of the Sith. Next were the High Lords. They were members of the Circle of Lords. There were 7 of them at any given time. Then were the Sith Sabers. This rank was given to Sith apprentices who passed their trials and tests. They served similar duties to the Jedi Knights of the Jedi Order. And last were the Sith Tyro. They were apprentices who had not yet been assigned a master. About 100 years later, the One Sith would arise, becoming the new dominant Sith Order of the galaxy. This order replaced the rule of 2 with the rule of 1, which stated that a single Sith would rule over the order, and that other Sith under him would simply serve. Under this new order, Darth Krayt ruled without question, and he assigned new ranks to his followers. One of the highest positions he assigned was called Fist. This rank was given to his most trusted followers, and they would serve as supreme military commanders of his order. Next were the Hands. They served Darth Krayt with extreme loyalty and never questioned his orders. They were talented in both the ways of the Force and lightsaber combat, making them dangerous foes. Then were the Voices. They served as second in command of the Order, and also served as advisors to Darth Krayt. Next were the Inquisitors. Unlike the Inquisitors from Palpatine's Empire, these Inquisitors instead served primarily as interrogators. They were tasked with extracting information from enemies, using any means possible, even torture. Last were the Lore Masters. They were tasked in keeping and preserving Sith artifacts and history. Within the New Order, there was also the Sith Intelligence and Assassination Agency. As the name implies, they were tasked in spying on and assassinating important enemies of the Order. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.